Profitable but broke. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to help you build a 5-number money dashboard that fixes exactly that. If your agency makes good money, but you're still checking your bank account at 11 p.m., wondering where it all went, this is the page that ends it. No accounting software, no finance hire, no 14-tab spreadsheet you open once and never touch again. 30 minutes to build it with me today, about 15 a month to keep it current. Here's why you should listen to me and not the bookkeeping blog you half read last week. I'm a chartered accountant. I've spent 12 years in finance and audit and governance, building the exact dashboards big companies use to make million-dollar decisions before I left to do this. And what I found when I started working with founders genuinely shocked me. Businesses doing $1-2 million a year, run by brilliant people, flying completely blind on their own numbers. Not because they are bad with money, but because nobody ever built them the instrument panel. So I did. And it's the single thing that changes how a founder sleeps. The common advice here is track your KPIs. And then someone hands you a list of 20, 30 metrics and you glaze over them and close the tab. That's not this. They're exactly 5 numbers that matter for a service business at your stage. 5. And here's the part that's going to reframe how you think about every one of them. You're already tracking versions of these numbers, and the version you're tracking, well, it's quietly lying to you. So here are the 5 numbers, why the obvious version of each is wrong, and then we'll build the whole page together in 30 minutes. State number 5. It's the one where I watch my clients' shoulders physically drop when they calculate it. It ends payroll week dread, and almost nobody measures it. Let's get started. Number 1, free cash. Your bank balance is lying to you. And I can already hear you. I know my cash. I just look at my bank account. But that's exactly the trap. Most founders treat their bank balance as their cash. But your bank balance is one of the most dangerous numbers in business because it lies by omission. That $80,000 in the account isn't all yours. Some of it is sales tax you're holding for the taxman. Some is payroll that runs every Friday. Some is the contractor invoice you haven't paid. The only number that matters is what's left after everything already spoken for. One founder I work with had about $112,000 in the bank and felt rich. We subtracted what was already committed: taxes, payroll, owed invoices, that quarterly software bill, and the real free cash was only $19,000. He was about to make hiring decisions off the $112,000, off a number that was already committed. You might be thinking, this is accounting hair splitting. The money's the money. It's not. This is the exact mechanism behind profitable but broke. The balance looks healthy. You commit to something. 3 weeks later, the committed money leaves and you can't figure out why you're scrambling because on paper, you were fine. So here's the shift. Stop just tracking your bank balance. Start also tracking your free cash. Cash minus everything committed over the next 30 days. Open your banking app right now. Write the balance down. Subtract 3 things. Taxes set aside. This month's payroll. Unpaid bills. That number, not the one the bank shows you, is line 1 of your dashboard. Number 2, overdue invoices. The loans you did not agree to make. Most founders don't track this at all because invoiced work feels done. You sent the invoice. Revenue's on the books. Mentally, you've already spent it. Here's the reframe. An unpaid invoice is a loan. Every time a client is 30, 60, even 90 days late, you're acting as their bank, lending them your money interest-free without ever agreeing to it. And for agencies, it's brutal because you've already paid your team to do that work. The cash went out. It hasn't come back. You're financing your clients' businesses out of your own payroll account. A founder doing $1.4 million a year, technically very profitable, permanently stressed about cash. We added up overdue invoices, $190,000 earned, delivered, just sitting in other people's accounts because nobody chased and the terms were soft. That $190,000 was the whole difference between always tight and comfortable. I don't want to be the one chasing money. The relationship matters. I hear this all the time. But the client who respects you least is the one who's learned you don't enforce your own terms. Chasing what you've earned isn't aggressive. It's running a business. Stop celebrating revenue. Start tracking the gap between revenue and collected. The number that matters isn't just what you build. It's how much of it is still outside your walls. Pool your accounts receivable, your debtors. Every invoice sent and unpaid. Total the ones past due. That number goes on the dashboard. And watching it is how you find money you didn't know you were owed. Number 3, margin by client. Your biggest client is often not your best. This is the one that the first time founders run it genuinely makes them angry. Margin by client. The common belief is simple and totally wrong. Big clients are good clients. Your biggest account, the logo you're proudest of, the one that's 30% of revenue, obviously your best, right? Here's what the numbers actually show. Your biggest client is very often your least profitable. The big ones are where scope creep lives. Just one more round, a quick extra deck, a Saturday turnaround. And because they're important, you absorb it. You never bill it. Revenue is high, but the hours are higher. And the margin, what you actually keep, can be razor thin or negative. You're working hardest for the client that pays you least per hour of real effort. A founder swore her anchor client was the crown jewel. We tracked the actual hours her team sank into it for 1 month against what they billed. The margin, 4%. Meanwhile, a small client she'd almost fired was running at 60%. She was about to drop the profitable one to free up capacity for the one quietly bleeding her. You'll resist this. It feels disloyal to look at a relationship as a margin. But not looking is how good agencies stay broke. Loving a client and that client being profitable are two completely different things, and you need both on the table. Revenue tells you who's loud. Margin tells you who's funding your business. Stop ranking clients by what they pay you. Start ranking them by what you keep. So pick your top 3 clients for 1 month. Roughly track the hours your team actually spends on each, including the unbilled favors. Divide what you keep by those hours. You'll learn more in that one exercise than in a year of P&Ls. Number 4, recurring revenue percentage. Predictable beats big. Now let's look at your revenue mix. How much is recurring versus one-off? The common way to judge a month is the total revenue. Big number, good month. Small number, bad month. That measures the wrong thing entirely. A $90,000 month built on 3 one-off projects is weaker than a $70,000 month built on retainers. And most founders have it backwards. The project month resets to 0 on the 1st. You're a hero in March and starting the sales grind from scratch in April. Recurring revenue shows up whether or not you close anything new. It's the difference between a business you own and a job that pays well until it doesn't. Think about how you actually plan. Can you hire confidently off one great project month? No. You don't know if it repeats. Can you hire off a stable retainer base? Yes. Predictable money isn't just karma, It's worth more because it's the only money you can actually build your business on. But project work pays more. I'd be leaving money on the table. Sometimes. But an agency that's 80% project work isn't more profitable. It's more fragile. You're not richer. You're just closer to the edge with a nicer view. Stop measuring the size of the month. Start measuring the percentage you can count on. Recurring revenue tells you whether you have a business or a treadmill. Split last month's revenue in two. Recurring, your retainers, anything contracted to repeat, and one-off. Get the recurring percentage. Put it on the dashboard. Watching it climb is the clearest sign your agency is becoming an asset instead of a hustle. Number 5, payroll coverage. The number that ends the 2 a.m. dread. This is the one I promised. The number where I watch the relief land on a founder's face because it ends the payroll week pit in your stomach. Payroll coverage. The universal lie founders tell themselves, I made payroll this month, so I'm fine. Making payroll feels like proof you're okay. It's proof of nothing. It tells you about this month, nothing about the next one, which is exactly why payroll week never stops being scary, no matter how well you're doing. The number that matters is coverage. How many payroll runs could you make right now today if every dollar of income stopped? You already have line 1, free cash, divided by the cost of 1 payroll run. That's your coverage ratio. Under 2, you're exposed. 1 slow-paying client forms a real problem. 3 or more, you can breathe. Here's why this one matters more than all the others. That 2 a.m. feeling, doing the mental math on whether Friday's payroll clears, isn't about the money. It's about not knowing. The dread lives in the not knowing. The moment you have the number, even an uncomfortable one, the panic drops because now it's a problem you can see and solve instead of a fog you're staring into at 2 a.m. You might think knowing it's low will stress you more, but the opposite is actually true. Every founder I walk through this says the same thing. Knowing the real number, however ugly, is lighter than the vague dread of not knowing. Anxiety hates a specific number. Stop using "did payroll clear" as your measure of safety. Start using "how many payrolls deep is my cushion?" One is the rearview mirror, the other is the windshield. Free cash divided by 1 payroll run. Do it today. Whatever the number is the last line of your dashboard and the one that, more than any other, lets you close the laptop at night.
Now let's build the 30-minute dashboard together. Knowing the 5 numbers is the why. Now let's actually build the 1-page dashboard, because a number you understand but never look at changes nothing. If you've got a laptop, open a blank spreadsheet and follow along. 30 minutes to build it once. About 15 a month to keep it current. No software, no plugins, 1 tab, 2 simple formulas. Let's get started. So let's call it the CEO Money Dashboard. Down the left, we're going to start by typing the month date at the top so you always know which month you're looking at. Then we will add your 5 numbers in order. Free cash is at the top. Overdue invoices next. Margin watch. Recurring revenue percentage. And lastly, payroll coverage. And then we will have 3 columns this month's column, last month, and then we will have a read column. So this will enable you to see the direction. So this month versus last month. And then you can have a one-word read in the read column. So it can be good, watch, or act. So 5 rows, 3 columns. You don't need to make it prettier than this just yet. So let's start with row 1, which is your free cash. So off to the side here, we're going to list our committed amounts in 4 cells. So here we're going to insert bank balance, then taxes set aside, then this month's payroll, and then unpaid bills. Then your free cash will be one formula, and it will be auto-calculated after we do this. So this will equal your bank balance minus your tax set aside, minus this month's payroll, minus your unpaid bills. Just make this smaller. So just make it clear that you're committed. This is for your free cash. So the example I shared was of a bank balance of $112,000. Taxes set aside with $28,000. This month's payroll, $41,000. And unpaid bills, $24,000. And this is what led to the difference between the bank balance, which you would see, and then your free cash, which is actually only $19,000 compared to the $112,000. So yes, this is now formula driven. And then back here, we would simply insert the free cash figure. And here maybe we can say, for example, last month it was $25,000. So therefore your free cash has decreased compared to last month. And our read word would be, this is something that we need to act on. So act. Let's move to row 2, which is the overdue invoices. So here you'd open your invoicing tool, pull the aged receivables or overdue view, and total everything past its due date. One number straight into row 2. So I shared with you the example of a client with $190,000 once we totaled up everything that was overdue. And let's say, for example, in the prior month, it was $165,000. So our overdue invoices have increased since last month. And our read word, again, is something that we need to act on. So in 30 seconds, you're easily able to pull this information from your financial software and insert it on your dashboard. Because watching it is what will actually finally make the difference in terms of enabling you to actually chase the money you've already earned so that you translate those overdue invoices into cash in the bank. Let's move to row 3, which is the margin watch. So this one runs on a completely different clock. So this is quarterly. So properly tracking margin by client, so hours against what you keep, is a quarterly job, not a monthly one. So once a quarter, you do the deep pass from lesson 3. And the rest of the time, you would just park 2 names here. So your lowest margin client, And let's say this is the one, this one is giving you a 4%, 4% margin. And then we would also use it to park your most concentrated one. So the single client who's the biggest slice of your revenue. So let's say this is client B, and they are making up 30% of your revenue. So this would enable you to just glance at these two names every single month. So let's call that one client A with the 4% margin. And then client B is the one with the contributing 30% of your revenue. So this enables you to just keep an eye on these two clients in between your quarterly deep dives. Let's move to row 4, which is the recurring revenue split. So we can come to the side. And insert our second formula. So our first one was the free cash formula that's sitting here. So here we would split for recurring revenue percentage. So we would split the recurring revenue this month. Let's say that's $52,000. And then we would have, so this is when we say recurring revenue, this is coming from your retainers, contracted amounts. And then we would then insert the total revenue. Again, this for this month. And let's say, for example, this is $80,000. So your recurring percentage, which will now also be auto-calculated using this formula, is equal to your recurring revenue divided by your total revenue. And then we can just make that a percentage. And then also bold that because that's our second formula. So here we would then bring in the recurring revenue, which is 65% for this month. And let's say, for example, last month it was 60%. This would be showing that your recurring revenue is increasing. And enabling you to actually watch it climb so that you can see that you're actually turning, we call hustle into a real asset. So this, our read word would be good. And then lastly, for payroll coverage. So yet another quick formula here. So this one is quite elegant because you already have everything. So this one is based on your free cash divided by your payroll this month. And then what we'll just do is you'd click on number, go to custom, and scroll all the way down. 0.0x as your custom format. So this simply divides your free cash by 1 month's payroll. So under 2, and maybe we can just write that as a guide here, where if it's under 2x equals act, between 2 to 3x equals watch, and then above 3x is good. So this is the one that gives you the number from our fifth lesson that ends the 2 a.m. math. So let's say, for example, it was actually 0.9x in the prior month. So both are still below 2x. So our read word would be at. So for everything else, you just mark as act if it moved in the wrong direction this month compared to last month. So if your cash is down or your overdue is up or your recurring revenue is up, you would put act. So here we can just say this is a quarterly review. So you don't need conditional formatting for this last column. You just type in the word by eye. And the whole point isn't a beautiful spreadsheet. It's that once a month, same day, 30 minutes the first time, 15 minutes thereafter, you sit down and you fill in this month's column and compare it to last month, and then glance down the read column and update it. So that's your entire agency on one money dashboard. That's the instrument panel, and you've just built it.
There they are, the 5 numbers: free cash, not your bank balance; overdue invoices, the loans you didn't agree to make; margin by client, because your biggest isn't always your best; recurring percentage, because predictable beats big; and payroll coverage, the one that ends the dread. 1 tab, 5 rows. You just built it. And the spreadsheet was never the point. The 30 minutes of actually looking is. That's the habit that takes you from running on dread to running on data. Now, building this dashboard is the monthly habit. But here's why the timing of this video matters. It's July. We're at the exact midpoint of the year, which makes right now the single best moment to do one deeper pass before the second half gets away from you. So I've put together a free mid-year financial review checklist for founders, and it's the natural next step from this video. It's a structured 30 to 45-minute reset that walks you through 10 areas in the right order: your year-to-date revenue, where recurring cost creep is hiding; cash versus profit; your receivables aging; your upcoming payables; budget versus what actually happened; margin by offer; client concentration; tax readiness; and a clean reset of your 3 priorities for the back half of the year. It closes with a 1-page reflection that helps you name your single biggest financial issue and the one action to take in the next 7 days. Same thinking as the 5 numbers, just deeper, and timed for exactly where you are in the calendar. It's free, linked below. The first time you can see your whole agency on one page, the 11 p.m. bank balance refresh just stops. You don't need to be a finance person. You just needed the instrument panel, and now you've built it. If this video was useful, watch my other videos for more founder finance without jargon. See you there.